Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel today, and a topic that we haven't covered on this channel for a while. Manchester United keep, loan, sell 2024/2025 edition. We've got all the players here ready to go in. It's time to talk about Manchester United. We all know now the players have been a massive problem at this club for way too long. A lot of these players have seen their time here for a lot longer than I want them to. And with Ruben Amorim now at the helm, we're playing his system and not coming in like the previous managers had done. And basically just playing the same system, which is a defensive 4-2-3-1 counter-attack. Ten Hag changed from it. It didn't work. We got rid of the manager. We've got a new manager in now. Long-term project under Ineos. And the players are still doing the same old crap. So, it's time to get rid of the players. We need a big old clear out. And I'm going to be ruthless here today. There's going to be a lot of decisions here that a lot of people probably wouldn't like. But it's go time. First player on the list, Luke Shaw, has to go. He's lost, I think, almost almost 3.5 seasons injured. He's missed so many games injured, and it's just enough is enough now. You know, the team is crying out for a decent left back, and when Shaw is fully fit, I have no doubt that he'd be able to contribute to the team. But the problem is, he probably hasn't been fully fit since he got that first injury against PSV in the Champions League all the way back in 2014. So, Luke Shaw for me, goodbye. Next one, Bruno Fernandes. The next one, in go. If the rumour has it, Bruno Fernandes wanted to leave this season. The club said no, let's put him on a bumper contract with loads of money. You're not going to play. For the rumour has it to be wanted to go to Bayern Munich. They're interested. We said, no, you're not going. He's old. He's getting on a bit now. He's in the peak of his powers. And what you've got to think about is when this team is even ready to compete. And I'm not talking about winning things. I'm talking about just competing. Because it's one thing getting rid of all the players. But it's another thing, as my ear's itchy, it's another thing getting the players in and then getting them to work in the system. By the time that happens in 4 or 5 years' time, Bruno Fernandes is knocking on his mid-30s. He could have completely fallen off the cliff. For me, this season was the one to get rid of him. I don't see how he works in his Amorim system. I don't think he's quick enough to be a wide 10. He was playing as the wide 10 yesterday, over on the left-hand side. Way too many times I saw him drifting over to the right-hand side, sitting on top of Ahmad. And for me, he doesn't work in the double pivot in the midfield either, because he's not good enough defensively. I think the money's there. He's got the value. You could easily sell this guy over to Saudi Arabia for some good money. Next player, Marcus Rashford. Well, I think the writing is on the wall for Marcus Rashford anyway. Omitted from the squad. Said he's ready for a new challenge. Has been absolutely piss poor since Ten Hag's first season, where we played football that suited Rashford. Rashford likes football, playing on the back foot, not having to do anything, not having to press, let the opposition attack, and then hit him on the counter-attack, run through and score. He doesn't work in this system. He's definitely not creative enough to play as a wide 10 in this system. And for me, the writing's on the wall. He's on way too much money. We should have got rid, really, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago, especially when he was dropped under Ralf Rangnick. That was the perfect time for me to have him off. We didn't. We put him on a bumper new contract on shitloads of money. And now it's time to go. The next one on the list is Mason Mount. Another injury-prone crock of crap. Injured again, rumoured to be coming back in March now, out for another 10 weeks. He just can't get the consistency. I don't know why we signed Mason Mount when we had Bruno Fernandes. I think the idea that Ten Hag wanted was almost similar to a City system, Well, you got the one holding and then the two further forward attacking midfielders. It didn't work. He played it for one game pre-season. It didn't work. Mason Mount, he's wasting his career here. He's never fit. We need to try and offload this guy, even if it's just for 5-10 million quid. I don't care. I'd rather have a player here worth 5 or 10 million pound who's fit to play than a player like Mason Mount who's just constantly injured all the time, comes out and says, I'm working on being more fit. I'll come back stronger. Well, guess what? Time's up, pal. You're out the door. And next for this one as well, I think Lindelof is out of contract at the end of the season anyway. The club want him gone in January. Who's going to bloody buy him? You know, is he actually good enough for any club? Is he a good enough player for any club to actually sit there and not want to wait 6 months and get him for free? Then buy him now for a couple of million quid. He's not going anywhere. Too injury prone. Doesn't fit the system. You know, he's not good enough to play for Manchester United. It's adios. Goodbye, Victor Lindelof. Onana up next. I'll order these in importance of sale, really. I'll probably put him further up there. I'd put Rashford way up there and very important to sell. I like that order. I think Onana for me is he's too prone to making a stupid mistake. I'm sorry, you know, there's David De Gea. When you have a goalkeeper as good as David De Gea, who could single-handedly win you points, win us a draw, win us a game with a top draw save, you've got this bloke who's just been pissing about, cost us the Champions League last season, cost us many goals this season, pissing around on the ball. We don't play the right system anyway for Onana, I'm afraid to say. We're not confident enough to get the best out of Onana right now. He was the wrong kind of goalkeeper to sign anyway. You know, the only reason why he was signed is because he was from Ajax. Ten Hag knew who he was. He played under Ten Hag, and that's why he was brought in. There's a lot of transactions under Ten Hag that need to be investigated for financial fraud, and we'll get onto one of those in a minute. This is one of them. It'd be go for me. Maybe not on my top priority to get rid of. But for me, I just don't see him as a long-term... I don't see him as a long-term goalkeeper here for Manchester United, I'm sorry. Tom Heaton, I think Tom Heaton could stay. You know, he's third-choice goalkeeper. You know, fits the criteria for the 8 homegrown players. There's no reason not to keep him here. It's similar to Scott Carson, really. You know, he's not going to be playing in the Premier League anymore. There's no reason not to keep him here and then keep him on, maybe as goalkeeping coach in future years to come. Diogo Dalot, I'm going to put him in sale, and I will put him here. I want Diogo Dalot to go. I don't think Dalot naturally looks right in a... I get that Dalot is a versatile player. He can play either side of the pitch. But to me, Dalot's not a wing-back. In a 3-4-3, your wing-backs need to stay wide. They need to have a wide... what would be the word? A danger from the left and right-hand side of the pitch. Dalot looks better when he's inverting. He's in sort of that midfield role. You can't do that. You know, you're just lacking width. You need the overlaps from your right hand side or your left hand side for your wide tens to pass to. He doesn't provide that option. He's not good enough defensively. So for me, it's a sale. Next one on the list, Martinez. I think he would probably go... I'll go here, right at A. I would like him to go, but I'm not desperate for him to go. I think, apart from his ability to play out from the back, he's a very bang average defender. I think his first season he was very, very good at Manchester United. Last season had a lot of injuries, was in and out of the team, and this season I think he's just been a bang average defender. I think he missed the height from Lisandro Martinez. He doesn't provide any aerial threat defensively or going forwards. And for me, I just think we would be better off cashing in if the money's there and buying somebody else who's a bit taller. Next up, Malacia. Very old photo of Malacia, but he's going in sell as well. Definitely more important than those and him. And I'd argue Dalot as well. He'd go there. He was playing yesterday, Malacia. You know, another bloke who was out for 18 months. Comes back and he's very, very bang average. And I'm sorry, I just don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United, even as a backup player. He was playing when he first came back from that injury. His first came back, I thought he looked very, very good. And ever since he's played ever then, he's stunk up the gaff. Very, very, very average. And to me, I'm done with all these bang average, players. Go and let him play his football somewhere else. Johnny Evans, I mean, he's not worth anything. So, you know what? I'd probably want Johnny Evans to stay. I want him to stay less than Tom Heaton. But, he's not worth any money. He's a backup player. He's probably more than happy sitting on the bench. He's a bit of experience. Can be called upon if you need him to see out 10, 15 minutes in a game. Why not keep him? Why not keep him around? Bendir. For me, it's a go. Probably very low priority go. More the fact of I just think it's unfair to keep him here. Personally, I think it's unfair. The bloke's had like 3 games in 18 months. Onana is more than capable of playing 40, 50 games in a season. If you really needed a goalkeeper to play in that dross, I'm thinking long term as well next season. We're not getting any European football this year. It's not going to happen. I'm afraid to say there'll be no European football this year. There'll be no Carabao Cup win. Well, we can't because we're out of that anyway. There'll be no FA Cup win. There'll be no win in the Europa League. And we won't be finishing in the top 7 positions in the Premier League. Because at the moment, we are a bang average mid-table side for the players that, to me, are piss poor, aren't good enough, don't fit a system, and need removing from this club. And until that happens, that is why we got smashed by Bournemouth yesterday. Bournemouth are in 5th place. They're playing very good football. We do not play very good football. We're very much a work in progress. And for me, the priority this season, it might sound bad, the priority for me this season is just staying in the Premier League. Don't get relegated. As much as being relegated would mean all these players would be out the door because you wouldn't be able to afford to keep them, we need to stay in the Premier League. We need to stay there. We can get away with a season with not being in European football, but you've got to stay in that Premier League. So to me, Bendir, he needs to leave. He needs to go and play football. He's more than capable of being the Turkish number 1 goalkeeper. He needs playing time. Isn't getting that here. Isn't going to be sniffed at for number 1 if Onana was to leave. So needs to be on his merry way. Anthony, definitely high priority leave. He's fit to play, so he goes over those 2. But listen, this is the biggest crime ever. The fact that Ten Hag got this club to pay over £80 million for this player, I think needs investigating for some sort of financial crime, money laundering, whatever. I think there was some dodgy deal going on there with Ajax. Any Ajax player that we've purchased has been for way too much money. And he offers nothing. He was on the pitch the other day, didn't do anything, doesn't offer anything, can't play wing back because he's nowhere near good defensively, can't play at a wide 10 because he can't pass. He can't do anything. No offence to the bloke, but he can't do anything. He's absolutely hopeless. He's got no right foot, needs to be on his merry way. Garnacho, another player for me who needs to go. And I think I would put him... I'd probably put him around here. In fact, I'd probably put him there. And there's a reason I put him there. I just don't think he fits the Ten Hag. I don't think he fits the Amorim system. Similarly to Anthony, I think Garnacho isn't good enough to be a wide 10. I don't think he's creative enough to be a wide 10. I think he's a little bit sloppy. I think he's be better off finding his football elsewhere. He's an asset, and when you're having when you're trying to rebuild your club, you sometimes have to sell assets for the greater good. And for me, Garnacho is an asset that's probably worth 40 to 50 million pound. We could use that 40 or 50 million pound elsewhere and just get rid of him. Just send him on his way. Ahmad, 100% comes to stay. I think he's more than capable of playing at the right wing back. I think he's also more than capable of playing at the 10. He showed it. He's capable of playing the wide 10. I think he can hold up the ball. I think his link-up play can be there. Is he very much the polished article yet? No, he's not, but he's still only 22 years old. It's a work in progress, but he's shown positive signs that he can work in this system. So to me, he's definitely on the top of my stay list. Rasmus Højlund, he goes on the bottom of my stay list, but he will stay. I don't think he's given enough opportunity. I think he's rotated way too much with Xerxes, who I'll get onto for a moment. I think in terms of goal scoring form, he'd be alright. If you put some creative players around him, 2 players either side who can create, give him the ball to run in, put a ball into the box for him, I think he'd be perfectly fine. I do think we need another striker on top of Højlund, and I don't know if he'd be good enough to be the Manchester United #1 striker, but I think there's still time to see what he can do. Casemiro, definitely a go for me. Where am I going to put him? I'll stick him in. He's on a lot of money, so I'd probably put him in about there. I mean, he's always fit, but, you know, he really offers nothing, and he's on a shitload of money. We need to be getting rid of this guy. We need to be advertising it, even if he goes for a couple of £1,000,000. We need to get him off the wages. He's on way too much money. Another player who we paid to come and play here, and it hasn't worked out. Christian Eriksen, I don't mind Christian Eriksen. Again, I just struggle to see where he fits into a Ruben Amorim system where he's not good enough to play in the 2 midfield. He's not good enough defensively. And he hasn't got the legs to play in one of the 10s anymore. 5 years ago, he probably would have worked perfectly in one of the 10s. But these days, no. He's worth next to nothing, so he's not going to be on high priority to go. I'll put him sort of down here. I think he will be moved on, but he wouldn't be on my high priority to leave. He doesn't, you know, if you need to bring him on for 10, 15 minutes, you can, but he does need to leave. Maguire up next. Well, Maguire. What do we do, Maguire? I do think Maguire adds something to a back 3. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want him staying here for a long time. But I think you could get away with having him here for another season. For sure. I think you could get away with having him here for another year. You could extend that contract, keep him here for another year, and then replace him in a year's time. Dangor, for me, definitely needs a loan. You know, I think he's wasted a year of his career here at Manchester United. I think our youth system is terrible, where it seems to be if you come through the youth academy, if you're good enough to go into the first team, you go into the first team. If you're not good enough to go into the first team, you sit and rot in the under-23s. And then one day you read an article where you've left the club, either on mutual consent or for an undisclosed fee. The reason why it's undisclosed is because he's probably gone for peanuts, about 10 quid. We need a loan. We need to loan him out to the Championship, see how he does in the Championship. When he comes back, it's either integrate into the first team or leave. You've seen what the Championship did to Ahmad. I think if we'd have been playing Ahmad on a consistent basis from last season, he'd be a far more polished player. He had a really good year at Sunderland. I think Dan Gore is more than capable of playing in the Championship. Send him over to the Championship, see how he does, reevaluate in 12 months. Mazraoui up next. I think Mazraoui's done enough to stay. I'd put him up here with Ahmad. He's shown his versatility. He can play either side of the back three. He can play at right wing back. Is he the polished article? No, he's not. But I certainly don't think he's done enough to warrant to leave. Might I be saying the same thing in 12 months? No, but if I was looking at this summer, Mazraoui would be one of the last players on the list that I'd be looking to get rid of. Unlike this man, Joshua Zirkzee, I think it's important that he leaves. Where would I put him? I'd probably put him here with Garnacho. Sell him while he's still worth the money. I don't know why we ended up purchasing Zirkzee. I don't know what he brings. I don't know who in their right mind, whether it was Ashworth or whoever else, thought, you know what? We need a striker, and what we're going to sign... We're going to sign a 6'3" giant who plods around the pitch, who openly admits in his game that he's not a 9, he's not a 10, he's kind of a bit of both. It just doesn't work. When he's in that box, he's stumbling around like bloody Noddy. It doesn't work in the Premier League. I'm sorry, he's not good enough. We need to loan him back out to Italy and then send him in the summer, or just get him gone now. Because for me, it doesn't work. He contributes nothing to the game. Totally regrettable signing. What a waste of money. What a waste of wages for these 6 months. Useless. Now, I'm trying to work out who that next player is on my list here. He's cut the top of the heads off. I think that's Agate. And if it is, I think Agate goes in to stay. I think he's settled into the midfield very well. He's certainly not a player who's going to hold the midfield by himself. I think he needs a player next to him. I've just remembered Mainoo's not on this list. Oh. Hold on a second. Let's go and see if we can get Mainoo. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Right, we're back. Mainoo is now on the list. As I was saying, who was I talking about? Ugarte, yes. I think he's settled into the midfield very well. And I think he's fine to stay. Next up is Lenny Yoro. I mean, he's kind of got to stay. I'd almost be tempted. For this season, I think he should have been loaned out. I think he should have been loaned out to play his football elsewhere. But I think we're kind of past that stage now. So, to have him here for 1 year, not really doing much, and then, I guess he did get injured, so maybe that changed the plans, but to me, he kind of has to stay now. And I think he's more important than Ugarte, just because the money that we've invested into him, we need to see if we can try and get the best out of him. So we're kind of forced to use him now. Now, this next player here, I think, is Ethan Wheatley, another player who needs a loan. I think he's more than good enough to go and play in the EFL. I don't know if he's good enough to play in the Championship, but even if you go and loan him to League One, these players are too good to be sat in the under-21s and under-23s playing once every couple of weeks in the Premier League 2. These players need to be finding their craft, and this is why we don't make money at this club, because the players that are not good enough from the academy, we don't realise they're not good enough quick enough, and we don't get them gone. We'll wait until Wheatley's like 21 or 22, had a failed loan spell at, Burton Albion, and then send him off for an undisclosed fee, and he'll be stuck in the EFL forever. What we need to do is get these players out on loan quickly, put them in a league, try and get them up into the Championship level. If they're not good enough for the Championship, sometimes a player's just not going to be good enough. But a championship team might buy them for a couple of quid, or even a Premier League team might buy them for a couple of quid. Just because you're not good enough for Manchester United doesn't mean you're not good enough for a team who's just come up through the Championship, just into the Premier League and needs a player. You could loan them out today. You can do a lot of things to these youth players. We just don't loan our players out enough. We keep them rotting in the academy until they're worth no money. Now, this next player here is Harry Amas. It's unfortunately chopped his head off. But it is Harry Amas here, another player who needs a loan. I think he's, again, a player that's too good to be sat in the under-23s. Needs to be in the Championship, on loan, getting first-team football, and assess the situation. I think he could probably provide something at left-back for us. Is he going to be a first-teamer at Manchester United? Maybe not, but he might be good enough to sell on for 20 or 30 million pound, and you can invest that money into the first team. The same with Toby Collier, another player who needs a loan. I don't see the point. I mean, I guess he's only just broken into the first team this year. These players need to go out on loan. They're not getting any first team football opportunities. You know, okay, maybe for the next 6 months, give them a few cameos. But until then, up in the summer, I'm expecting these 4 players to be out on loan. Because none of them are good enough for the first team right now. But we don't know they're good enough. We don't know that for 100% because we haven't seen what they're all about. Go and put them go and put them in a competitive league in the Championship and see what they can do. Last but not least on the list, we've got Kobbie Mainoo. And for me, Mainoo is on the stay list, probably ahead of Ugarte, just because he's got age on him. We don't know if he's going to fit the Amorim system yet, but he's young enough. Pardon me. He's young enough to learn about a new system. We know there's talent there. We don't know if he's going to work in this system yet. But the good thing about young players is that you can teach them to play in a system. And to me, he looks like the kind of lad who's ready to learn. And you've got to give him a chance at the end of the day. And, you know, if in a year's time it's not really working out, you get rid and you hope that another academy player comes through. He was very good last season, Mainoo. I just think he needs a bit of nurturing. I think it's good that he's not playing every single game. I don't think an 18, 19-year-old should be playing every single game at Manchester United. I think he needs to be gradually integrated within the new system. And we'll see how it goes. But as you can see, the tier list is done now. And we've kept a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 players. 1 or 2 of them aren't even first team. So you'd argue 7 first team players are staying. And all of these players need to be gone. I don't see any reason why you can't get rid of all of these players over the next 12 months. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to get rid of them. I'm fully aware that the club are not going to want to get rid of Onana. They're just not. For some reason, the fans and the club seem to think the sun shines out of Onana's arse. So you probably put him there. But I'm not going to because I've got morals and I think he's a piece of wank. But yeah, you know, how much money you'd get for all these players? I don't know. Who's going to want to buy these players? Again, I don't know because some of them have been here for way too long. You know, their value has now got so low where, you know, people are going to go, well, we'll take Anthony, but we'll give you 500k for him. And the club are going to sell their pants because they're going to go, well, that's a net loss of over 80 million pound on Anthony. But I'd rather that than have a complete total waste of space in the team. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for today's video. And will probably be the final video up until now, up until the new year, especially with the streams as well. I just think it's time for me to take a little bit of time off. I've been relentless with the streaming for the last 5-6 months, streaming every day. But on top of that, with work, it gets a little bit too much. So I need to take some time off for myself, have a few evenings for myself, and then come back refreshed for the new year to continue with games. Because there's a lot of good games coming next year, and I need to be smashing them out. So thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.